Alright everybody, so let's talk blades because that's what we're into. Today I have for you a couple more CRKTs, man, and just rolling them out with CRKT, the Columbia River Knife and Tool, man. They make some good stuff. So good, as a matter of fact. In my last two videos we were doing CRKTs, but I think the video before that I was stating how much I didn't really realize how much I liked CRKT till I realized how many that I had. And with my large collection, I didn't realize how many CRKTs or how many knives I actually had that were CRKT. Anyways, with that being said, these are the two oldest CRKTs that I have. Unfortunately, both of these knives are discontinued, at least as far as I know. I went on the website for this BT-70 right here, and this one's discontinued, but the price tag on this knife was 150 bucks. That's what it says on the CRKT website, and I'm looking right at it right now. And then this one right here is the CRKT Pharoah, and I haven't really been able to find a price tag on this, but I saw a guy on eBay trying to list this and another one just like it, but in a different color, for $250. I don't know if that's for one, because it says or if that's for both of them. I'm not entirely sure. That's just eBay listing a personal price from him, probably, for all I know. Other than that, these are the two oldest CRKTs that I own. This one I ended up buying years and years back. I want to say probably about this knife. I've had this knife for a little over 8 or 9 years now, I think. I know this was old. And then this one is very old. I've had this one for even longer. And I never carried these two. I bought them with the intention to carry them, but I ended up carrying cold steels instead, because I was kind of going through a cold steel phase when I saw CRKT, and I just decided to pick them up because they just looked interesting, and I still kept with my cold steels. So let's get into it. This is the CRKT BT-70, and this is supposed to be a tactical knife. It is big, it is chunky, it is wide, it is heavy. And the blade steel on this is AUS 8. What I liked about this knife so much is the fact that it has a fuller, otherwise known as, what a lot of people don't know what it is called a blood groove. But fuller, other than the aesthetics and design, is supposed to be intentionally for weight reduction. And then it has like this really interesting modified Tonto tip with a very interesting swedge up here for even more piercing capabilities. And it's got this halfway sharpened, it's like goes, a little bit shallow on this side and then a little bit less shallow here, and then it goes into like this interesting pattern. It also has, I don't know if that's Quetzalcoatl or I don't know, some Mayan dragon head right here. I think that's Quetzalcoatl. I'm not entirely sure. If you know who it is, leave it in the comment section down below. I'm not entirely sure, but I know that that's a Mayan dragon head. I think that's what kind of drew me to this knife, was when I saw that, I was like, man, that's different. On top of the G10 handle scales, yes, these are G10. They're not textured in any way. It's just smoothed out, which is nice. I mean, it still provides grip. You have subtle jimping up here, but that's all the jimping you really get. It is a liner lock, and to me, on this huge knife, this liner lock seems a little bit weak. Then again, it's just early lockup, because I never really carried this knife. And the pocket clip on this thing kind of makes me worry, because you cannot adjust the pocket clip on this. It's on here, and that's it. If it bends or breaks, you are SOL. So someone told me that if I wanted to, I could take this knife apart, and on the inside right here, you can see there's 2 screws in there. I could tighten it or untighten it through taking this whole entire knife apart if I really needed to fix this pocket clip. So, no, I'm not going to do that. That shouldn't have to be that way, but it's fine. I mean, this is still a great knife, and at 150 bucks, Yeah, this is a big chunky EDC kind of thing. Big knife, very easy to open. I really do like the thumb plate on here. It is simple to get to, even though it's kind of recessed in there. But they did that cutout right here, so that way on either side you can get to it and pop it open. And the pivot is nice and smooth. I never had to adjust the pivot at all in this humongo knife. So we will move on to the next one, and this is the CRKT Pharoah. This one has the interesting locking mechanism where you have to push this down and push this button at the same time in order to disengage the lock. It has a very interesting blade profile on there. Someone said it's supposed to be reminiscent of the Khopesh, or the Egyptian sword, the Khopesh. If that's the case, I mean, I don't really see the Khopesh look on this. I mean, I can kind of see, because it's got like that really wavy attitude to it, but I don't really see the Khopesh design in this. But whatever, I mean, you know, it is what it is. There it is, the CRKT Pharoah, and the designer, I think that's his name right there, Elischwitz? I don't know. But you look on the other side, this little gold piece right here, that's got his insignia on there. It's the same thing on this side right here. The interesting thing about this is that the thumb stud right here also acts as a stop pin. And it's, you know, so that's really interesting. This is only one-way carryable, which is another reason why I didn't want to carry this knife, because it is tipped down. And these are plastic handle scales. They're not G10, they're just some sort of grivery plastic. So it's a very interesting knife, very different. And the locking mechanism is you pull this lever back and you press this button and it releases the lock on the knife. So it's very interesting, it's very different. Also, this, I believe this is also AUS 8. I could be wrong, it could be a different steel on there. Trying to see what that... Hold on. 1130? I don't know what that means. 1130, that's probably the... I don't know. Either way, if you're interested at all in these knives, they are highly collectible because they are discontinued. Unfortunately, to find these knives, you're going to have to do a little bit of searching. I will let you guys know if I decide to let go of these knives. Otherwise, I think I'm going to keep them as part of the collection. They are very, very interesting and highly collectible because of the fact that they are discontinued. And I have not used these knives for anything whatsoever because I was a kid at the time and I was like, man, I want this knife and that knife. I couldn't make up my mind. I just went ahead and bought them. And into the collection they went without even hitting my pocket, which tends to happen a decent amount of time when it comes to knife collecting. I'm like, oh man, I'll carry it later, and then I forget about it for years and years, and I just move on to the next best knife. So that's usually how it happens. But this knife has literally seen no days in carry, and neither has this one. As soon as I got it, it went straight into my collection and forgotten about. So these are brand new knives, basically. They just don't have the original packaging. I don't keep any of that stuff. I just throw it away. So I'm not gonna... I mean, we'll go into the specs. Why not? So let's see. Just so you guys have a good idea of how much they weigh. These are not pocket-friendly by any means because they do kind of weigh a little bit, especially this BT-70 right here. Yeah. 7.30 ounces. And then on the Pharoah, 7.26 ounces. So yeah, they're a bit chunky. And they do weigh a little bit. But I guess these knives came out around the time where the weight of the knife really didn't matter. At least that's my interpretation. 3.5-inch cutting blade with an 8 3/8 overall length on the Pharoah. And then the BT-70, that is a 4-inch blade with an overall 9 1/8 inches. And if you're looking at how thick they are, they're pretty wide. You're looking at an 18.0 on the handle, 3.3 on the blade, the BT-70, and then on the Pharoah you are looking at, see, the handle is at a 14.9 and the blade is at a 3.2 on the Pharoah. So yeah, these are my discontinued CRKT models that I still have to this day. I do have to admit that the Pharoah is a very interesting knife. It feels good in the hand, but that blade is so menacing. It is really menacing. I'm sure somebody is probably going to be like, "Oh, buy that off of you for this much money." I'm going to have to think about it. Me getting rid of a knife is something that I always think about, and I always try to think once, twice, and thrice before I decide to sell it, especially when I know how rare it actually is. But it all just depends. I will take all things into consideration, but don't expect any real answers for a while. And there's this big boy right here. I'm not gonna cut anything with it. Sorry, I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm gonna keep them the way they are, and I'll figure out what I want to do with them later on. If I want to do any cutting demonstrations with them, I will. But because of the rarity of them, I'm going to keep them kind of, in isolation. So if you like the video, stab that like button, slash that like button, stab that subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for the support.